There is a season in a human life when everything you thought was you dissolves. Not the aesthetic spirituality, not the Instagram awakening, not I bought crystals and now I'm enlightened. No, none of those things. I am talking about the kind of darkness where your identity fractures, your faith collapses, your relationships fall apart, and even God feels silent. This is the dark night of the soul. I'm Kat Grace. Thank you for being here with me. Let's dive in. If you are in the dark night of the soul, you are not broken. You are being remade. Today, we're going deep within the shadows. Esoteric, Jungian, shamanic, metaphysical, and of course, trauma-informed. Because the dark night is not pathology. It is initiation. So let's start with what is the dark night of the soul. The term originally comes from St. John of the Cross, a 16th century Christian mystic who described a spiritual purification so intense it feels like divine abandonment. But it's not. Mystics across traditions describe the same terrain. In Jungian psychology, Carl Jung called it the descent into the unconscious. In shamanic traditions, it is known as the dismemberment phase of initiation. In alchemy, it is nigredo, the blackening, the rot, the decomposition before gold. Across traditions, the message remains the same. The false self must die so the authentic self can emerge. And the ego does not surrender quietly. Not at all. It will go kicking and screaming eventually. So what causes a dark night? Let's be clear. A dark night is not just depression. Not at all. It can look like depression, but it's different. It can overlap with it, but it is not the same. Spiritually, it has a completely different architecture. It is usually triggered by one of the following things or a combination of them. The collapse of a relationship that you believed defined you, narcissistic abuse or an extreme betrayal, the loss of identity from divorce, career fall, public humiliation, what have you, or a trauma that cracks open your constructed self, or perhaps a spiritual awakening that outpaces your nervous system, or maybe it was from a soul contract completing. In Jungian terms, it begins when the persona, the mask, can no longer hold. You realize, I built my life around something that was not true. And the psyche revolts. Let's discuss Jung and the shadow. Carl Jung believed that what we repress does not disappear. It becomes shadow. The dark night is often the moment when the shadow floods consciousness. All the rage you suppressed, all the grief you spiritualized away, all the dependency you disguised as devotion, all the wounds you called karma. It surfaces violently sometimes, and this is critical. The dark night is not punishment. It is initiation. It is an opportunity for integration. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The dark night forces you to face what you have avoided for a very, very long time. It strips projection. It dismantles fantasy. It exposes your attachment patterns. This is why it feels unbearable. Your illusions die first, and it can be very painful, but I assure you, it does not last forever. So let's discuss it from the shamanic perspective as dismemberment. In many indigenous traditions, the future shaman becomes violently ill, psychologically fragmented, or socially exiled. They dream of being torn apart, bones separated, flesh removed. Symbolically, the old identity is disassembled. This is not metaphorical to the psyche. When you lose the marriage, when you realize you loved a mask, when your spirituality collapses, you are being dismembered. But here is the part no one truly explains. The psyche cannot reassemble you at the same level. Not at all. It builds something truer. So what does it entail? I'm not going to sanitize this for you. The dark night often includes loss of meaning, emotional numbness, or overwhelming grief or rage, physical fatigue, nervous system dysregulation, feeling completely spiritually abandoned. You begin to question everything you ever believed, feel detached from old friends. There's heightened intuition mixed with confusion, existential dread, rage at God, source, or even life. You may feel like, I don't know who I am anymore. Good. That's right. Good. The constructed identity is now dissolving. The ego is no longer in control. And that can be terrifying, especially after years of allowing the ego to run the show. Let's move on to discuss what causes a spiritual awakening. I'll tell you something, spiritual awakening is rarely caused by bliss. It is caused by rupture. The psyche awakens when all the survival strategies fail. When trauma bonds break, when your projections collapse, when your nervous system can no longer sustain denial. Awakening is not an upgrade. It is the removal of anesthesia. And once you see, you cannot unsee. So what is the purpose of the dark night? Why would the soul design something like this? And why would it be so brutal? Because growth through comfort rarely restructures identity. The dark night will burn spiritual ego. It integrates the shadow. It breaks the trauma bonds. And it ends fantasy attachments. It forces self-sovereignty. It rewires attachment patterns. It returns power from projection. It strengthens discernment. It deepens intuition. It initiates authentic embodiment. It dismantles who you pretended to be, so you can become who you actually are. So how do you get through it? Seems pretty intense. The best way to get through it is not by bypassing. It's not by affirmations. Not by pretending it's high vibe. No. You get through it by 1, stabilizing your nervous system. It's very important. Cold water, breath work, nature, walking, finding trauma-informed support. 2, shadow work, radical honesty, such as where did I first abandon myself? Where have I ignored red flags? What was I gaining from the illusion? 3, grieving without spiritualizing. Let it hurt. Don't rush the phoenix. Let it hurt. 4, reclaiming projection. Every quality you worshipped in another, find it in yourself. 5, allowing the ego to dissolve. Stop trying to be who you were before. That version is expired. Now, the stage that no one really talks about. After the collapse, there is quiet. Not bliss, not ecstasy. Just grounded neutrality. You stop chasing. You stop proving. You stop rescuing. Your nervous system settles. You begin choosing differently. Not from a place of trauma, but from sovereignty. That's when you know the night is integrating. So I'm going to leave you with a final truth. The dark night of the soul often feels like abandonment, but spiritually, it is intimacy. It is the soul saying, I will not let you live divided. It is brutal mercy. And if you are in it right now, let me remind you of how beautiful you are, and you are not cursed. You are not regressing. You are not losing your mind. None of those things. You are doing very important work. You are shedding. And the woman or man who emerges afterwards will not tolerate what the previous version endured. If this resonates, stay with me. I'm Kat Grace, And here, we do not sanitize spirituality. This channel is for the ones walking through fire without pretending it's light. Comment below, forged in fire, if this resonated. And tell me, what fell apart in your life that forced you to awaken? And if you're in the night right now, breathe. You are not alone in the underworld. We can walk through it together, and you will not leave it empty-handed. Thank you for being here.